It's awesome to be able to meet you in the flesh.
Yeah, who knew we lived 5 minutes away from each other for God knows how long, and we meet after I moved from Utah to Florida to Texas.
Yeah, I was gonna say now you're out in
You know,
Texas. Yeah, you're a little out of reach now,
yeah.
that way at least. So, well, I mean, you came all the way from Texas. So tell me, what are you doing? What 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 are you up to these days?
So my youngest daughter Maya, she plays college soccer. She's playing
Yeah.
at Snow this year, but she plays on a semi-pro team
Oh
that
wow.
plays at West High School. So we came to see some of her games and visit my other kids and my fiance's kids too. So
Wow, that's
yeah,
cool.
and
That's awesome.
to see you and see some friends and business colleagues. Like on Tuesday, we went down to the Intermountain Power Project. I think you saw the pictures. The coal plant's
Yeah,
being shut down. That I developed a solar project next to. It's hopefully will be built pretty soon. And yeah, so
yeah,
yeah,
you've been busy.
yeah.
You know, to say the least. I think that's an understatement. I think you're very busy, but you've got a lot of projects going on
Yeah.
right now. I've been, of course, we communicate. I think almost every
Yeah.
day. And seeing some of the projects that you're working on is really cool. So, what are you excited about right now?
Well, right now they and it's taken off a lot faster than we expected.
Yeah,
Is sober.buzz. It's a community
so
that we've
cool.
started kind of around a cryptocurrency called the Buzz token. Our Instagram account, it went from literally zero at the beginning of May to now we're about 12,000 followers and growing very quickly. We've gotten a lot of attention globally. I've actually just signed a podcast deal today, and so thank you.
Congrats.
I'm very excited about that. The marketing company that I am doing it with has big plans for it.
Yeah.
We're going to start. We're kicking that off next week,
Wow.
and we're going to announce next week when we're going to start selling the Buzz token to the public, um, and that should be in a sometime this year. We'll
Wow.
keep it a secret till it comes out.
That's so awesome. That's
Yeah,
so cool. And, well, congratulations first
appreciate that.
off. That's really cool. And then, the story behind Sober.buzz
Mm-hmm.
is really inspiring. I love it. Um,
Thanks.
would you like to go over that at all
Yeah.
on this one? Yeah.
Well, it is a company organization that's run by former addicts.
Wow.
I've had a drug and alcohol problem for a long time. I've known it for a good part of a decade.
Yeah.
But always thought I could do it better next time.
Yeah.
I can get this figured out at some point. I never was
Yep.
able to, and just ended up digging myself a deeper and deeper hole, and was never happy. And I
Yeah.
went to rehab 3 times in the last, I guess, almost 2 years. The first 2 times it didn't stick
Yeah.
for various reasons. I wasn't there long enough. I wasn't ready. Didn't learn the right things. But last summer I went to rehab at a place called Burning Tree Renewal Lodge in
Oh yeah.
Elgin, Texas, middle of nowhere, where my sober manager and a few of my lawyers and a couple of my brothers thought this is what Josh needs. Uh, it was not luxurious like where I went before, but it
Yeah.
was what I needed, and I learned things that changed my life.
Yeah.
And like what codependency is. I heard what it was, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it meant to me. Transactional relationships.
Yeah.
I looked at relationships in my life and like, yeah, I either from my side or the other side, a lot of
Yeah.
transactional stuff. Like if people expected things, I expected things, and there's a lot of letdown when you have expectations.
Yeah.
But did I ever really understand that? No. People pleasing is another thing. I
Hmm.
always hated saying no, and then I'd be like,
That's always tough.
why did I say? Then I'll be like, now I have to do this, or now I'm obligated to this. Why did I say? Why did I
Yeah.
agree to this? Well, because I didn't want to say no.
And then you
Yeah,
feel the pressure
yeah,
of fulfilling that thing, even if
right,
maybe you didn't want to agree to it
exactly.
to begin with. Oh, we're
Oh,
setting the mood
yeah.
now.
So
The
we're gonna have
the lighting.
some
It's
sexy music, some jazz now.
there we go. Let's add in some jazz here. No, yeah. So it sounds like really. you have a lot of support behind you. I mean, you had some
Yeah.
family there. You've got I mean everybody. They were rallying behind you on this last one. It sounds like.
So, I've it, my family is a complicated, uh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
complicated, very complicated. Like,
I get that.
don't really have a relationship with. I don't have a relationship with my parents,
Yeah,
or my sister, for various reasons.
yeah,
I My two brothers, and I have relationships. Last I heard, they don't have relationships with the other folks.
yeah,
It's just, it's unfortunate. Right now, I have a relationship with one brother and his wife, and not the other,
yeah,
because of, it is what it is.
yeah.
You know.
Well, and
Yeah.
various factors, right? I
Yeah.
mean, especially when dealing with addiction, dealing with, not saying that's what
Yeah.
this is, but when you're dealing with a lot of various things, it creates a lot of friction,
Hmm.
and unfortunately,
I mean,
for various reasons, things
everybody
like that.
has their opinion on what's best,
Yeah, yeah,
and sometimes, everyone doesn't agree.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
cool to see
So
where you are now, though.
I appreciate
I
that.
mean, you're taking an active stand. You're I mean, you started Sobered Up Buzz.
Mhm.
You've got that, and you've got the people behind that,
Mhm.
where you're lifting them up, or they're lifting themselves up
Yeah, I
with
mean, and
this.
we've got people that, are in various stages of recovery.
Yeah.
We also have people that aren't in recovery, that have loved ones in recovery, that,
Mm,
like,
it's
I just had
huge.
a conversation actually at the power plant, IPP,
Yeah.
2 days ago, about, somebody there, their kids, a couple of their kids have issues, and I was just asked, like,
Yeah.
what what did you find out why you were doing it? And I was
Yeah.
like, at first, like, why was I doing what? And he's like, well, your addiction. And I told him about, like, last summer, like, I had trauma that, I had never dealt with.
Oh
I didn't
yeah.
know how you would deal with it. Did I even label it trauma? I mean, no, I didn't. I never even thought about
Yeah.
it. Why am I dwelling on these things? Well, it's because trauma.
Yeah.
And through therapy, I learned how to, deal with those things, and I kind of put them to rest. I learned how to, not dwell on the past.
Mm,
And, I think about it,
it's
and,
huge.
like, take lessons from it, but I don't sit there and, like, I'm not consumed by, this happened 20 years ago, and I just can't believe that happened. I can't believe this person did this to me. I
Yeah.
can't believe that this is how it went down. I don't do that anymore. Like, my mind changed. Like, I can
Wow.
sit still. I mean, I would always fidget. I couldn't sit still through a movie. I can
Oh
just
yeah.
be now, and I was never like that before. But people would say to me, like,
Mm,
what, Josh, why can't you just be? And I'm like, oh, because my mind's going 1,000 miles a minute. I'm I want to be distracted. And then I was always, future trip is what it's called. Like,
oh yeah.
be worried about the future. Like,
Yeah.
I was always, afraid of failure. Like,
Mm,
I would come up with, like, so many reasons things aren't going to work out, but everything always ended up working out. I mean, I've done well, but
yeah. Yeah.
but no matter how well I did, I was always worried I was going to fail.
Mm,
Now I am able to just be in the present, and not. I mean, of course, I think about the future for planning purposes,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's not to, scare the shit out of myself.
Yeah.
Like, with, like, oh, what could go wrong? I don't do that
Absolutely. And I think that's something that most people struggle with, as far as, not just being able to be in the present,
anymore. Right?
but it's when you dwell,
Yeah.
and when
I,
it festers and
I was
it
good at that.
becomes really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
I was really good at
Mm,
that. And, I kind of came thought about this, and kind of came up with this when I was at rehab last time. Like, I believe in Jesus, right? Like,
mhm.
he's my God. And, like, he was with me in the past, but I can't, like, experience that past again.
Yeah.
He I believe he's going to be with me in the future, but I can't, like, experience that future now. The only time I can experience, like, him, like
Mm,
in reality, or my reality, is, like, this second, in the
yeah.
next second, like, it's right this second. Now it's gone. like
Yeah, being in the present.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And looking at things like that, that's how I could. The only way I can experience you, or
Yeah.
my fiance, or my kids, is like in that moment.
Yeah.
So
And if you're constantly dwelling on the past
mm,
or stressing about the future
mm,
within reason, of course,
sure,
right?
yeah.
Then how can you fully live in the present? How can you really be, well, I guess just that, be, right?
So I realized that kind of abandoned my family. Like I was physically there, but mentally
Mm,
not. Um,
huge distinction there, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this kind of hit me. There was a kid at rehab last summer that talked about how his dad abandoned the family, and it just kind of hit me like, there were so many things that I was either drunk,
Oh, yeah.
where I'm just out to lunch, or like I was just so consumed about something in the past, or worried
Hmm.
about the future, that I wasn't like fully there,
Yeah. How
and
could you be?
yeah, like I went on my first vacation, like with my fiance Heidi, in December 2023. Like
Oh, wow.
I mean, I've been on vacations. We went on vacations all the time,
But
like
like present,
but
being present.
being present. Like it was the first vacation that I can remember where I didn't have any business phone calls.
Mm,
I didn't have I wasn't planning what we were going to be doing. I had just relaxation. Like
yeah.
I would go on vacation, but it would turn into like every 3 hours I had a call, or I'd be like all morning I'm working,
Hmm.
like just nothing to worry about. I didn't know what a vacation was. I mean, I called and texted both my brothers. I'm like, you guys, I think I thought I knew what a vacation was. I've been all over the world,
Yeah.
but Madeira Beach, uh, Florida, is where I realized, just over a weekend.
Mm,
It was crazy how we went last minute. Like I bought the tickets that morning. We took the red eye out to Tampa
yeah.
that night. It was just like we just wanted to get out of Utah. I wanted to get out of Utah. It was cold, and it came up, and I started packing. Heidi goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going to Florida tonight."
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
and then we flew back the following Monday. This was Friday because it was my birthday, and we went out to Ruth Chris with my kids, and
Nice.
that
Yeah.
that those 4 days just or 3 days down there were the most relaxing time ever. I
Oh,
mean,
wow. Well, you were able to step out a little bit
yeah,
and be able to actually enjoy being in the present. See,
yeah,
I think that's something a lot of people can resonate with, myself included, right? I've
yeah,
done podcasts on the floor of in Tokyo
yeah.
of the hotel that I was staying in because of the acoustics, right?
Right.
I'm the I've struggled with the same thing where
Mhm,
stepping away from work
mhm.
is something that actually has made me uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people
Yeah.
can resonate with that.
Well, I would always worry about there's emails. I got to
Mm,
know what's going on, like,
yeah.
or whoever I put in charge of this, man. I'm not doing it, so there's got to be something that's going to go wrong. Like
Yeah.
I would I had a hard. It was impossible for me to let go,
Hmm.
even for like 48 hours.
Yeah.
Like even during the weekend, I'd be working. I'd be coming up with things to do, like
Yeah.
that
That
because
maybe you didn't need to
I
do,
didn't need to
right?
do, but
Like,
I just couldn't let it go.
yeah.
You know?
Oh, I think going along those lines, yeah, I can resonate really strongly with this too. Because when I went to Hawaii a
Mhm.
couple of years ago, and I lost service. And lo and behold, this was a travesty because I had work to do. I needed to be connected, and I didn't even have cell service. So, of course, the world fell apart while I was out for 24 hours. Nothing happened. That
So
it's crazy.
during COVID, we went to Yellowstone,
Yeah.
and Yellowstone, like you have no service,
Yeah,
right?
you're on your own.
Unless you're at like we were staying at the Yellowstone like lodging, like
Mhm.
the different places at the lake and at the other place, like Grand Canyon or whatever, where you had service like there if you're lucky, right, on the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. And I had we were there for like 5 or 6 days, and like
Wow.
I had maybe service for like 2 hours of that. It was a nightmare for me.
Oh, yeah.
But guess what? No one died.
Yeah.
Nothing fell apart.
It's
I
crazy.
didn't know that
Yeah.
why I was going through it, and I obviously
Yeah.
didn't learn my lesson yet. But yeah, it I had that same experience.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and some people might be asking, like, well, what does this have to do with addiction and everything else? Well, it all feeds into addiction,
Yeah,
right? The behaviors feed into addiction. When I'm a quantitative behavioral analyst,
yeah.
right? My
You told me that.
education,
Yeah.
it's it quantifies
Yep.
everything leads back to a source,
Hmm.
whether it's your behavioral patterns around work, if
Hmm.
it's around behaviors with family, if you're attempting to disassociate, or if you're just looking to alleviate some of the ongoing traumas that maybe you've ruminated on a
Hmm.
little bit for the past 20 years or
Yep.
whatever. It all adds up.
Yep.
And eventually you do have to find a way to be able to cope with those. Otherwise, it starts to grind mentally,
Yep.
emotionally, physically, manifesting itself in addictions, whatever
Yep.
it might be.
Yeah.
So, and I love the fact that you were able to go to this facility, this
Yeah.
rehabilitation.
Well, I would, just so you know, like when I
Yeah.
went to Cirque Lodge here in Sundance, Utah, those are
Oh yeah.
I went there the first two rounds of rehab. Um, I got diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety.
Mm,
Um, I didn't, and depression. I didn't know. I had never been diagnosed with those things before, so I started
yeah.
taking medication for those things. Um, I One of the reasons I drank or used was to slow my mind down because it was
Mm,
going a million miles a minute, and then
yeah.
obviously not to ruminate or fixate on things that happened before or what I'm gonna scare myself is gonna happen in the future.
Yeah.
Um, and then I learned how to deal with like the things that I had issues with that I didn't even realize what they were: like codependency, people pleasing, transactional relationships, expectations.
Yeah.
So taking the ADHD medicine, I and depression medicine, I don't take anxiety medicine anymore. I was able to get rid of my anxiety through
Wow.
therapy. Um, my mind now, like it doesn't race.
Wow.
And I think therapy and the medication, and I continue to do therapy outside of rehab.
Yeah.
It all plays together,
Everybody should,
you know.
in my
Oh, I
opinion.
think so too. I
Therapy,
believe in
like,
therapy.
it doesn't matter how mentally and emotionally stable you believe you are.
Right.
I believe in mental tune-ups,
Oh yeah.
right? Like having a mental tune-up, you could feel great
Hmm.
for years and years and years, but if you don't find a way to be able to improve,
Hmm.
or maybe work through some things,
Yep.
work through whatever it might be, right? Then it'll add up, and then it just comes back to bite you again.
Well,
So
with my therapist, like I would say for the last month until yesterday, my last session,
yeah.
it was more just shooting the breeze, like talking about what's going on. There's a lot of stuff going on, but like yesterday we talked about a few serious things, and what he's good at is I have my perception of things, right?
Yeah.
And whether he thinks I'm right or not, it doesn't matter. But he challenges me and brings up and plays devil's advocate and brings up two or three other possibilities, so I can see
Mm.
like the whole potential landscape, like not just like my what I
Yeah, your
my
perception.
initial perception, right? Like, and sometimes my perception changes or you know
Yeah.
moves one way or the other, because like you know I think I like to think that I'm my mind's working so well now that I look at all the possibilities. Well, I don't, you know.
We would all like to think that, right?
Yeah.
Like we all want to think that our
Yeah.
perception is like the truth, but in
Hmm.
reality,
I have my biases.
we have our biases.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we need to get those outside perspectives to really gain a better insight into what the reality may
Right.
be for other people, or what the perception may be.
Yep.
I mean, you can think, hey, I'm doing really well, doing really well.
Hmm.
And yet maybe there are slight behavioral patterns that need to be modified in order to be
Right.
able to actually meet where you think you actually are. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does,
Yeah.
and actually, the way I think now is like I may be doing really well,
Mhm.
but it's impossible to be doing like 100% like perfect,
Oh,
right? So there's
yeah.
always like something that like I can do better,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
Unless you're a narcissist and then it,
right, and you know, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's been confirmed. Though some people that
You've
may
checked.
well, some people that may have known me in the past may have questioned that. No, but but yes, seriously, it's like I used to I never thought like that before. Like, oh,
Yeah,
there are just there's things be just going great, but there's I can still do better. Like I was lazy, I guess, if you or just lazy thinking that if everything seems fine, everything's fine. I mean that's nice, but like
it's a
I can
perspective.
be better than that. You
Yeah.
know, that's how I look at it now. So
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
perspective, but in reality, I think we all can improve at all times. There's something to be able to work on,
yep,
right? I mean, you might be doing really well, and
yep,
you should feel confident in that. And know that, hey, I've made so much progress.
yep.
But at the same time, also recognize, hey, there are opportunities to be able to improve.
Well, and I think that's me being able to do that. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, part of my problem is I had low self esteem.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I had a hole. I mean, that's the way it's described. You have a hole inside you, and you're trying to fill it up with all these external things,
yeah,
praise from other people, attention, drugs, alcohol, but the hole never fills up. Until the only thing that fills up the hole, I mean,
yeah,
no matter how much everybody else loves you, is if you love yourself.
yeah,
Until I understood that and could forgive myself or get past things that you know, I mean, many times we're our hardest critic, right?
absolutely,
And
yeah,
you know, I beat myself up for things. I mean, that's one of the things I would ruminate, like how did I do that? Why did I
yeah,
do that? That must look so stupid, or that was dumb. I did that, or I mean, it's you have to give yourself a break,
yeah,
and I was not good at giving myself a
yeah. I would say, I mean, I definitely don't give myself breaks either. So
break.
when you're saying this, I'm like, oh wow, I hold myself up to an impossible standard,
I think a lot of people do.
and most people do,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
so when hearing things like this, it's like it kind of makes you reflect a little bit
yeah,
more. And so that's one reason why this is so important to get
yeah.
this out there, and also to, of course, celebrate the projects that you're working on
Well,
and get that out there.
I guess we might as well note this. It is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month
It is.
and
That's
Pride Month,
right. Hmm.
and what I have learned now that I'm in this
Yeah.
uh, mental health, you know, I guess area, that uh, the number one category of people that commit suicide are men.
Yeah.
I did not. If you asked me that like a year ago, I wouldn't have guessed that. And then the I guess class of people or group of people are you know the LGBTQ. There's a couple other letters in there now, but you know, that group of people,
Yeah.
I find it ironic that it's the same month that we're focusing on both because
Yeah.
you know it's tragic if someone commits suicide. I mean, I've been
Hmm.
there.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
unfortunately, and it's not the answer.
No.
So
And glad that you're here.
yeah, I'm glad I'm here too.
Yeah.
I'm glad my daughter Maya and her best friend Tasia, I call her TJ, came home and found me. You know,
Yeah.
I had overdosed and got the paramedics there.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
I wish they didn't have to go through that, but I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
So
And I love the fact that, and it's serendipitous that you bring that up, because so I sit on the board of directors for Promise to Live.
okay,
It's centered around suicide prevention,
okay, good, that's great.
and so it's when you dive into some of these stats and
Hmm.
everything, and luckily I have the opportunity to be able to see some of these. It's crazy, and I say crazy because it's so sad, and the
Yeah,
numbers are so staggering to see the number of people that attempt suicide
yeah.
and the number of people within the demographics. I think it's, is it 60 or 70%? I could be pulling that number out of nowhere, um, of men. consist of men.
Yeah. So what I saw was, I think it was 60 or 65% are men, and
Excuse me.
I think I saw a number today. It's like 600,000 men a year.
Yeah,
I think that's for the U.S., but I think
it's really high. Yeah, the numbers are
it's
high.
numbers that I wouldn't have thought unless I actually saw them. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Wow.
And here in Utah, I do know there is a prevalent suicide issue with the gay community,
Mm.
transgender community, because of some of the beliefs around here, or
Because of
unfortunately social,
sociology.
cultural,
Yeah.
things,
Yeah,
which
a
is
lot of
unfortunate.
sociological influences
Yeah,
and some pressures
sure.
that are that they feel.
Yeah,
And so, yeah. Wow. Well, Josh, it's so good to have you on, my friend.
I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
telling us a little bit about Sober
Yeah.
Buzz. And thank you for coming down here to KW South Valley Keller Williams out here in South Jordan. I have to say that for legal compliance. So, well, thank you again,
No
and
problem.
we'll be in touch.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Uh, Thank you for coming on.